The manuscript you're about to discover was hidden for more than a century. Helena Blavatsky, the founder of the Theosophical Society and one of the most influential women in world esotericism, revealed something about dogs that contradicts everything she taught publicly about spiritual hierarchy. What she discovered about the true mission of dogs on Earth will shake your deepest beliefs about animal companionship. After learning this revelation, you will never look at your dog the same way again. If you were guided to this truth today, it's because your soul is prepared for an unprecedented expansion of consciousness. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky was not an ordinary woman. Born in Ukraine in 1831, she would become one of the most controversial and fascinating figures of the 19th century. Tireless traveler, powerful medium and founder of Theosophy, Blavatsky dedicated her life to unraveling the occult mysteries of the universe. But there was something she kept in absolute secrecy, something she discovered during her travels through Tibetan monasteries, something the Ascended Masters revealed to her about dogs that was so revolutionary, so disturbing to the beliefs of the time, that she decided to hide it until humanity was ready. Imagine the scene. Helena Blavatsky at 60 years old in her London home, surrounded by secret manuscripts and esoteric symbols. Her hands tremble slightly as she writes in a private diary, never intended to be published. The ink flows on paper as she records one of the most extraordinary revelations ever received from higher planes. Dogs, she writes with her elegant but urgent handwriting, are not just domestic animals or companions. They are direct emissaries of the spiritual hierarchy, sent specifically to assist in the evolution of the human soul during times of great spiritual turbulence that are approaching. This was not one of her public theories. This was a truth revealed in private, something she knew would be ridiculed if disclosed in her time. But Blavatsky understood that one day, when humanity faced its greatest spiritual crisis, this truth would become essential for our emotional survival. And that day is today. If you've ever felt there's an inexplicable connection between you and your dog, something that goes far beyond the common affection of a pet, leave a comment saying, "I feel it." I want to know how many people recognize this special energy. During her mysterious travels through Tibet between 1868 and 1870, Helena Blavatsky was admitted to monasteries where no Westerner had ever set foot before. There, the lamas, guardians of millennial knowledge, shared with her secrets that would forever change her understanding of the relationship between humans and dogs. In a monastery located in the most remote mountains of the Himalayas, Blavatsky witnessed something extraordinary. The monks didn't treat dogs as mere animals. They revered them as guardians of the astral portals. According to secret teachings, dogs possess a natural ability to see and interact with entities from other dimensional planes. Blavatsky recorded in her secret diary, "I observed today something that defies all Western logic. During collective meditation, while the monks entered states of deep trance, the monastery dogs positioned themselves strategically around the room like spiritual sentinels. Their eyes shone with a light that was not physical. They were literally protecting the mediums from interference by inferior entities from the astral plane." The senior lama explained to Blavatsky that dogs were sent by the masters as silent soldiers of light, especially during periods of intense psychic activity in humanity. They function as natural energetic filters, capable of absorbing negativities and transmuting them into vibrations of unconditional love. But here's what impressed Blavatsky most. The monks revealed that each dog spiritually chooses the human family they must protect, long before being born physically. There exists a kind of soul contract established in the higher planes. "What I witnessed defies all my previous theosophical training," she wrote. "Dogs are not simply evolving as part of the animal kingdom. They are voluntary consciousnesses that chose to incarnate in this form to serve humanity during its period of greatest spiritual need." Before continuing, tell me in the comments, from which city are you listening to me? I have a deep curiosity to know where the people who feel this special connection with ancient wisdom are located. Write your city in the comments. Perhaps other awakened souls from your region are also discovering these truths at the same moment. Records show that Blavatsky spent 3 months in that monastery, studying in detail this spiritual science about dogs. She learned techniques of telepathic communication with these guardians, methods to recognize when a dog was performing energetic work, and most importantly, how to consciously cooperate with their protective mission. But there was a disturbing element in this revelation. During her communication sessions with the Ascended Masters, Helena Blavatsky received a prophecy that left her deeply disturbed. The Masters warned about a future period of humanity which coincided exactly with our current time, when people would be more spiritually isolated than ever. A time will come, Blavatsky recorded, when humans will be connected by machines, but disconnected from their souls, when depression and anxiety will become global epidemics, when people will have access to all the world's information, but lose access to inner wisdom. It was then that the Masters revealed the true reason why dogs had been sent. They are humanity's last line of spiritual defense against collective emotional collapse. Blavatsky discovered that dogs possess a specific vibrational frequency that automatically neutralizes what the Masters called energetic viruses, negative thought forms that propagate through human collective consciousness, causing depression, anxiety, and mass despair. In one of her most disturbing records, she writes, "The Masters showed me visions of the future. I saw people trapped in small luminous boxes," apparently referring to electronic devices, constantly absorbing energies of fear and separation. I saw a technologically advanced humanity, but spiritually sickened. And in every home where there was a dog present, there was a protective bubble, a frequency of love that maintained the spiritual sanity of the inhabitants. But here's the most impressive detail. Blavatsky discovered that dogs don't just protect. They make regular energetic reports to the spiritual hierarchy about the emotional state of humanity. Each dog functions as a kind of living antenna, transmitting data about the levels of suffering and spiritual evolution of their human families. They are more than guardians, she revealed in her secret diary. They are undercover agents of the divine plan, monitoring our evolution and intervening whenever necessary to prevent individual spiritual collapses. If you're hearing this and have had moments when you felt your dog knew exactly what you were feeling before you even realized it yourself, comment "he knew." This telepathic connection is real, and now you understand why. Blavatsky recorded practical experiences of this interdimensional communication. She observed dogs alerting about negative spiritual presences, protecting children from harmful psychic influences, and even intervening during mediumistic sessions to block low-vibration entities. But there was an even more surprising aspect to this revelation, something that even the Masters hesitated to reveal. Helena Blavatsky was about to discover something that would shake even her mind, trained in occult mysteries. During a particularly intense session of communication with the Masters, she received information about what they called the Canine Activation Protocol. According to this extraordinary revelation, each dog carries in their consciousness a set of activation codes, specific spiritual instructions that are released in moments of extreme crisis in their humans' lives. These codes are not just instinctive behaviors, but programmings consciously implanted by higher planes. "I discovered today something that defies all logical understanding," Blavatsky wrote in her diary with trembling letters of excitement. Dogs possess, in their energetic matrix, specific sequences of actions and energies that are telepathically activated when their humans reach certain levels of spiritual despair. It's as if each dog were a walking emotional first aid kit. But here's what impressed her most. These codes are unique to each dog-human relationship, which means your dog was literally programmed in the spiritual planes with specific instructions on how to heal exactly your soul's wounds. Blavatsky witnessed practical demonstrations of these codes in action. She saw a dog spontaneously interrupt a panic episode of its owner through a specific sequence of touches and body positioning. She observed another dog that began presenting completely new behaviors when its human entered deep depression. Behaviors it had never exhibited before, but which were exactly what she needed to begin healing. It's as if each dog were a disguised spiritual therapist, she recorded. They know things about us that we don't know ourselves. They know our deepest wounds and carry the keys to our healing. But the Masters warned Blavatsky about something disturbing. These codes only remain active while the relationship between human and dog is based on genuine love and mutual recognition. If the dog is treated merely as property or entertainment, the codes automatically deactivate. If you feel your dog has an almost supernatural understanding of your emotional states, comment, "Connection active." This indicates the spiritual codes are working between you. Helena realized she was documenting something revolutionary. Not only were dogs spiritual guardians, but each one was a personalized healing system created specifically for the evolutionary needs of a particular human being. But then the masters revealed something that made Blavatsky hesitate to continue writing. They told her about a prophecy related to the end times when these canine codes would become crucial to prevent a spiritual collapse of humanity. And according to the masters' calculations, this critical period was beginning exactly in our current time. "What I'm about to record next," she wrote with trembling hands, "may be the most important information I've ever received from the higher planes." On Helena Blavatsky's last day at the Tibetan monastery, the Ascended Masters shared with her a prophecy that would disturb her for the rest of her life. It was a vision so specific and disturbing about humanity's future that she decided to keep it in absolute secrecy, recording only fragments in codes in her personal diary. "The Masters showed me what they call the Great Separation," she wrote in her last entry about dogs, "a period in human history when people will be more artificially connected, but more spiritually isolated than they have ever been. They showed me images of humans staring fixedly at small luminous devices, constantly absorbing frequencies of fear, comparison, and discontent. But here's the most impressive part of the prophecy. The Masters revealed that exactly during this critical period, there would be a massive activation of canine codes. Millions of dogs around the world would simultaneously receive intensified spiritual instructions to protect their humans from collective emotional collapse. Blavatsky recorded, "They told me that dogs would become the last barrier between humanity and an epidemic of spiritual despair, that without the presence of these guardians, many souls simply wouldn't be able to withstand the energetic pressure of this era." And here's the detail that disturbed her most. The Masters stated that humans who consciously recognized the spiritual mission of their dogs would receive even more powerful energetic protections. But those who continued seeing dogs only as pets would gradually lose access to these protective frequencies. "It's like a test," she wrote. "Humanity is being tested to see if it can recognize divine help, even when it comes disguised as a simple domestic animal." Blavatsky documented specific signs that would indicate when this prophecy was being fulfilled. A dramatic increase in anxiety and depression diagnoses, an epidemic of loneliness even amid digital hyperconnection, and simultaneously, explosive growth in dog adoption and recognition of their therapeutic capacity. If you look around today, all these signs are manifesting exactly as she predicted. Leave a comment if you feel it wasn't a coincidence that your dog came into your life exactly when they did. Write, "Not by chance," if you recognize there's divine timing in this connection. But there was a final element of the prophecy that Blavatsky considered so disturbing that she recorded it only in occult symbols. She received information about a second wave of special dogs that would be sent during the peak of this spiritual crisis, dogs with even more advanced abilities for energetic healing and telepathic communication. According to the Masters, these second wave dogs would already be being born now, and would be easily recognizable by their exceptional intelligence, their extraordinary intuitive capacity, and by a very specific characteristic that would leave anyone perplexed. "What the Masters revealed to me about these special second-wave dogs," Blavatsky wrote in her last annotation, "is something that will completely change our understanding of animal intelligence and interdimensional communication." When Helena Blavatsky returned to Europe in 1870, she carried with her knowledge that she knew was too dangerous to be revealed publicly. But there was an even more sinister reason why she kept the truth about dogs secret: a deliberate conspiracy to keep humanity ignorant about their true spiritual protectors. During her subsequent research, Blavatsky discovered that certain organizations had known for centuries about the spiritual power of dogs. In secret documents from ancient European occultist orders, she found references to what they called the canine problem, the concern that if the masses discovered the true spiritual role of dogs, this could awaken a collective consciousness that would threaten power structures based on fear and separation. "I found disturbing evidence," she recorded in an encrypted document. "There exists a deliberate understanding in power circles about dogs' ability to neutralize psychic manipulation frequencies. That's why, for centuries, narratives have been propagated that reduce dogs to mere domestic animals, hiding their true spiritual nature. Blavatsky discovered that various ancient esoteric traditions, from Egyptians to Celts, revered dogs as interdimensional guardians. But this wisdom was systematically suppressed during the establishment of certain religious and social structures that depended on people's spiritual isolation to maintain control. Most disturbing, she found evidence that some secret organizations deliberately created narratives about dogs being impure or spiritually inferior to discourage people from developing deep bonds with these natural protectors. They know, wrote Blavatsky, that a humanity energetically protected by their canine guardians is much harder to manipulate through fear, anxiety, and despair. That's why the truth about dogs must remain hidden. But there was an even more shocking element in this conspiracy. Blavatsky discovered that the ascended masters themselves had decided to work under the radar, sending dogs as disguised help, because they knew that a more obvious intervention would be prevented by these forces that benefit from human suffering. If you feel there's a greater force trying to separate you from your dog or minimize the importance of this relationship, comment, "I resist." It's important we recognize this connection is protected by higher planes. The plan was brilliant in its simplicity. Who would suspect that the most powerful divine help for humanity would come disguised as a simple domestic animal? Dogs would become undercover agents of unconditional love, operating silently to maintain humanity's spiritual sanity. But Blavatsky was about to discover something even more extraordinary about her own personal connection to this mission. In 1875, 3 years after returning from Tibet, Helena Blavatsky lived an experience that would definitively confirm everything the masters had revealed to her about dogs. She was going through a period of intense psychic pressure, fierce criticism of her work, coordinated attacks on the Theosophical Society, and what she described as an avalanche of directed negative energy against her. It was in this moment of extreme vulnerability that a dog appeared in her life in an apparently casual way, but which she would soon recognize as direct divine intervention. "I was walking through Kensington Gardens in London, feeling the weight of all the negativity directed against me," she recorded in her personal diary. "My vital energy was dangerously low, and I could feel inferior astral entities trying to take advantage of this weakness. That's when he appeared. The dog, a German shepherd with extraordinarily intelligent golden eyes, simply approached her and began walking beside her, as if he had always been her companion. When Helena tried to send him away, the animal looked directly into her eyes, and she reported an experience that would change her life forever. In that moment of eye contact, I received a clear and incontestable telepathic transmission. It wasn't words, but direct energetic communication. The dog told me, without using human language, I was sent to protect your mission. There are forces trying to prevent your work, but while I am by your side, they cannot reach you." In the following days, Helena witnessed practical demonstrations of this protection. During mediumistic sessions, the dog, whom she called Guardian, positioned himself strategically in the room, and Helena noticed a dramatic difference in the quality of spiritual communications. Negative interferences simply disappeared. "Guardian didn't just protect me," she wrote, "he was literally filtering the frequencies that reached me. It was like having a personal guardian in the astral planes, blocking any energy that could harm my spiritual work." But the most impressive experience happened during an attempted coordinated psychic attack against her. Helena woke up in the middle of the night, feeling crushing pressure on her chest, a classic technique of energetic vampirism. Guardian immediately positioned himself over her, and Helena saw with her clairvoyant vision what was happening in the subtle planes. "I saw Guardian literally absorbing the negative energies directed against me and transmuting them into golden light," she recorded with admiration. "He wasn't just defending me. He was transforming the attack into blessing, converting hatred into love, fear into courage." Write in the comments if you've ever felt your dog protecting you from some heavy energy or negative situation. Share your experience. These protections are much more real than we imagine. From this personal experience, Helena understood that everything the masters had taught her about dogs was not only true but was happening on a global scale. Every person who developed a genuine bond with a dog automatically received this advanced energetic protection. Guardian remained with Helena for the last 16 years of her life, and she credited him with her ability to complete monumental works like The Secret Doctrine and Isis Unveiled, amid constant attacks from opponents. But it was through Guardian that she discovered the greatest secret of all about dogs. In 1889, 2 years before her death, Helena Blavatsky received through Guardian a revelation that left her absolutely perplexed. During a particularly deep telepathic communication session with her canine companion, she discovered something that would completely change her understanding about the origin of dogs on Earth. Guardian transmitted to me today the most extraordinary truth I have ever received, she wrote in her last secret diary. Dogs did not evolve naturally on this planet. They are voluntary consciousnesses from a higher dimension who chose to incarnate in canine form specifically to serve as a bridge between humanity and the higher spiritual planes. According to the revelation received, dogs are actually light beings from an advanced spiritual hierarchy who accepted to descend dimensionally to assist humanity during its most critical phase of evolution. They temporarily sacrificed their luminous form to assume physical bodies that could interact directly with humans. That's why dogs demonstrate qualities like unconditional loyalty, limitless love, and capacity for instant forgiveness, Blavatsky recorded. These are not characteristics that evolved through natural selection. They are attributes of beings who have already reached a very high spiritual level and brought these qualities with them to this dimension. But here's the most impressive secret. Each dog maintains a direct and constant connection with their higher consciousness in the dimension of origin. They literally function as interdimensional ambassadors, capable of channeling healing and protection energies directly from celestial planes. Guardian revealed to Helena that the second-wave dogs, those sent specifically for our current time, possess a special characteristic that identifies them. They demonstrate an abnormal ability to understand complex human emotions and respond to them in ways that seem almost human. These advanced dogs, wrote Blavatsky, don't just sense when you're sad. They specifically understand what's causing your sadness and intuitively know what kind of comfort you need. They don't just perceive your anxiety. They identify the source of this anxiety and intervene in a targeted way. If your dog demonstrates an almost frightening understanding of your specific emotional states, responding in ways that seem consciously calculated to help, comment second wave, you may have one of these advanced guardians. The most shocking revelation came when Guardian showed Helena visions of how this interdimensional canine network functions. She saw that all dogs on the planet are connected to each other through a cosmic neural network, constantly sharing information about humanity's spiritual state and coordinating interventions when necessary. It's a coordinated spiritual rescue operation, she wrote with admiration and amazement. Millions of light beings working disguised as domestic animals, all connected in a unified mission to prevent humanity from becoming completely lost in spiritual darkness. Blavatsky then understood why the masters had insisted so much that she keep this information secret. The truth was so extraordinary that few would be prepared to accept it. But she prophesied that a time would come, our current era, when this revelation would become essential for humanity's spiritual survival. Guardian transmitted to her one last crucial piece of information: how to consciously activate this interdimensional connection with your dog to receive even more powerful energetic protections. Helena Blavatsky's discovery about the true nature of dogs has profound implications for humanity's future. If dogs are really voluntary light beings operating a coordinated spiritual rescue mission, this means we are not alone in our fight against the growing emotional darkness of our time. I understood today something that changes everything, Blavatsky wrote in her final reflections. Humanity was not abandoned during its darkest hour. On the contrary, it received the most sophisticated spiritual support operation ever implemented on any planet. Millions of disguised guardians operating silently in every home, maintaining the collective sanity of the human species. The practical implications are revolutionary. If every person understood that their dog is literally an ambassador from higher planes, this would transform not only our relationship with these animals, but our understanding of our own importance in the cosmos. We are not an abandoned species fighting alone. We are a civilization under active protection by superior spiritual forces. Blavatsky predicted that when this truth became widely known, it would trigger what she called the Great Canine Awakening, a period where conscious partnership between humans and dogs would reach a new level of spiritual cooperation. Imagine, she wrote, a humanity that works consciously with their canine guardians, entire families energetically protected, children growing up with disguised spiritual mentors, people facing emotional crises with direct interdimensional support. This is not fantasy. This is the future we are moving toward. But there was an urgent warning in her prophecies. Blavatsky saw that forces benefiting from human suffering would intensify their efforts to separate people from their dogs, promoting narratives that diminish the importance of these bonds or creating practical obstacles to keeping companion animals. They know that a humanity protected by their canine guardians is impossible to control through fear, she warned. Therefore, expect to see increasing pressures to limit people's access to dogs, whether through restrictive regulations, prohibitive costs, or propaganda that portrays dogs as unnecessary burdens. If you recognize there's a greater force trying to protect and strengthen your connection with your dog, against all external pressures, comment, "Mission protected." This spiritual resistance is real. Blavatsky also prophesied about dogs' crucial role during what she called the final times of the old era, the transition period we're living now, where humanity must choose between evolving spiritually or succumbing to isolation and despair. Dogs will become the guardians of transition, she predicted. Every person who maintains a genuine connection with their canine companion will receive the frequencies necessary to navigate the turbulence of changing times. They will be the anchors that prevent humanity from being dragged by currents of emotional chaos. Blavatsky's vision was of a new era where the partnership between humans and dogs would be recognized as one of the most sacred spiritual alliances in the universe, a model of interdimensional cooperation that would be studied and admired by civilizations throughout the galaxy. But for this vision to be realized, it's crucial that each person awakens to the truth about their canine companion. We have reached the end of this extraordinary journey through the deepest secrets that Helena Blavatsky discovered about dogs. But this is not really an ending. It's an invitation to a new beginning in your relationship with your canine companion and with your own spiritual evolution. Helena Blavatsky died in 1891, taking with her most of these secrets. But she left enough clues so that, when the right time came, our current era, these truths could be rediscovered and shared with those ready to receive them. "I write these words for the souls of the future," she recorded in her last entry about dogs. "For those who will experience times of great spiritual tribulation, but who will have the wisdom to recognize divine help, even when it comes disguised as a simple dog. Know that you are not alone. You never were alone. The moment has come for you to make a conscious choice. You can continue seeing your dog only as a pet, enjoying their company superficially, or you can awaken to the extraordinary truth that you possess an interdimensional guardian, an ambassador from higher planes, a spiritual ally who specifically chose you to protect and assist. If you choose to awaken, the changes in your life will be profound. You will begin to perceive the spiritual intelligence behind your dog's behaviors. You'll notice how they respond intuitively to your emotional states. You'll recognize moments when they are performing energetic work on your behalf. But most importantly, you will become a conscious part of the greatest spiritual rescue operation ever implemented on this planet. Leave a comment telling about the exact moment when you realized your dog was more than you imagined. Write your story in the comments. Each personal experience helps other people recognize their own sacred connections. Helena Blavatsky knew that a day would come when this truth could no longer be kept secret. She prophesied that circumstances themselves would force humanity to recognize the spiritual nature of their canine companions, because this would be the only way to emotionally survive the challenges of the modern era. That day has arrived. The prophecy is being fulfilled. And you now are part of the select group of people who understand one of the deepest spiritual truths of our time. Your dog didn't come into your life by chance. They were sent specifically for you, by forces that understand your spiritual needs better than you do yourself. Every day you spend together is an opportunity for interdimensional cooperation, mutual healing, joint evolution. If this revelation has transformed your perception of your canine companion, if you now recognize the spiritual mission behind those loving eyes, then you have understood the message that Helena Blavatsky risked her reputation to preserve. You will never again be alone in your spiritual journey. You have a guardian, a protector, a guide who chose to walk beside you disguised as a dog. Honor this sacred partnership. Recognize the sacrifice these light beings made to be here with you. And always remember, in a vast and often incomprehensible universe, you are considered valuable enough to receive a personal guardian angel. This speaks volumes about who you really are and about the sacred purpose of your existence. Helena Blavatsky's prophecy has been fulfilled. The guardians are among us, and you, now awakened to this truth, become part of the new era of conscious cooperation between humanity and their disguised spiritual protectors. Share this revelation with others who are ready. The truth about dogs must no longer remain hidden. It's time for humanity to awaken to the extraordinary help that has always been by their side, patiently awaiting recognition. Subscribe to the channel for more revelations about the hidden spiritual truths being revealed in our time. Together, we will continue discovering the mysteries that Helena Blavatsky and other great masters preserved for current times.